The Christmas Story, and I would say...
another great movie.
Oh, sweet goodness. All right, here we go.
We are just all over the place today.
Merry Christmas, everybody. What's up?
Jeremy is nice day quill down there.
You said Christmas Story. I said another great movie.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us one. Yes, A Christmas Story is very good. Yeah.
We went the real Christmas Story.
Have you seen 8-Bit Christmas?
Yeah, it's good too.
It's like the 80s version of that being in the 50s. It's trying to get Nintendo. It's very good. All right. So I would say, everybody knows the Christmas Story, but it turns out everybody doesn't know the Christmas Story. And that is what we really want to get into, because the Christmas Story, as it turns out, is way different than the one that apparently the world has learned in Sunday school. So you want to shine any light on how any of this has happened, Jeremy, or you want to just talk about, what's going on with that? Or do you want me to just get into it?
Yeah, just get into it, and we'll just talk through it.
All right, so one of the things that I really enjoy about Jeremy, other than his yearly anti-Mary, did you know?
Because she did. There was an angel.
Yeah, so I love it, and it happens every year. It's happened every year since Journey started. Sometimes, at some point it'll come up, but Jeremy was the first one that was, he's like, listen, this nativity scene that we've got set up, I don't like it. It's not accurate. It doesn't make any sense. Why are all these people here? Why is this this is just, it's shenanigans. So I thought, I never really thought about it, because you just, coming from the background, I came back in church. The story was an angel came to Mary and said, hey, you're going to have this baby, which proves Jeremy's song thing correct.
Yep.
Then an angel came to Joseph and said, hey, you got to take this lady. She's pregnant. Keep
they were already together, but yeah, they were betrothed.
But do not leave her now that she's pregnant.
Yeah, don't leave her.
And then it was tax season, so they got on their donkey and they rode to Bethlehem. And
no donkey. Go ahead.
I'm telling the story as was told to me for years and generations. So they go to Bethlehem. They get there. It's been a long day, and they pull up to the inn, and the innkeeper's like, "Oh, well, it's tax season. What? Did you call ahead? There's no room here, but you know what? Got this stable. If you want to clear out where the animals eat, you can have your baby in there." And then they had the baby. All the animals came around and looked at the baby, and then a big star appeared, and then some people came and they brought gifts, and then some more people came and told the baby how great it was, and then they beat it because King Herod was coming to get him. So
what a story!
And that all happened in about 36 hours, in the way they tell the story.
Yeah.
So, and for years, that is what, I don't want to put a guess out to the people of various churches, including our own, but I would imagine if you did like street interviews on the way out the door or the way into church, people would say, well, that sounds good. That sounds just about right.
Yeah.
The album that the Toy Train song that I love came from, they have several songs about, we're singing to Jesus on his birthday, and there's a song, No Reservations at the Inn, that was big. And then it's like, it's become a real Christian tradition, and it turns out it's almost 90% false. Or incorrect.
It's not false. It's incorrect to put all of those things together, and things get embellished into the story for sure. But no, I agree with you. Like, I think that I haven't done this, and of course, I don't know if people listen to our podcast, but I've often thought about doing, I think I did one year for Christmas, ask hey, how many wise men were there? Like, there's a gift, giving out gift cards, and people were like 3, and all this stuff. And so there's so many things about the story that people believe that just aren't a part of it, or at least not in the version that we've been given. So, yeah. So Penny.
Well, I guess my question to you about it is, why do we continue the tradition of this story? I know, but literally the kids for the past month, this is the story that we have been teaching them.
Yeah.
So why do we continue it that way? Why was it written that way? Why was it in the Bible that way? And we have...
Well, it wasn't in the Bible that way. It's just we took it and put it all together when it wasn't meant to be like that. So if you actually read the Bible, the Bible doesn't tell it. If you actually take the 4 accounts, actually what's even more fascinating is there's actually only 2 accounts of Jesus' birth. Mark and John don't even mention it. It's only Matthew and Luke that even bring it up. But then if you take even the details in there, the wise men, there's not 3. I could probably Google where we got 3 from, but I didn't do it yet. But I'm sure there's a simple explanation. But there were not 3 wise men. They were the Magi, so they were more like astrologers.
It said because they brought 3 gifts.
3 gifts,
so
they assume
each person brought 1.
Yeah. So there's that. There was no star, right? That over the manger. Yeah. So there none of that. The angels don't sing; they speak the entire time. Even the whole thing of like going to the inn and there being like no room, like that's not actually what the Bible says. That's just, I think a lot of it is just, it just got embellished and people just kind of told these stories and they got passed down. And then eventually, it is, I mean, Paul told it in a not as exciting way, but like it is like, if you just packaged it like that, like it is a good story.
And he didn't mean Paul from the Bible. He meant me, and that's hurtful.
Well, I mean, you kind of told it a little, but anyway, yeah. So what are we?
This is Relevant Magazine that we like to look at their quote articles. But Jeremy just hit 3 or 4 of their points in a row while not even looking at it. I've been reading more into this, and when they say it was an inn, it was a word they used that he also uses in a different verse that just means room.
Yeah,
and perhaps the article that I read said you. Imagine a stranger coming to your house now and saying, "Hey, my wife is ready to give birth. Can we use one of your rooms?" And they would, well, no, we'd rather you not give birth in this room in our home. So, it's that kind of thing. It wasn't a hotel. So it wasn't a Holiday Inn, and that's what we tend to think.
Right. There is a book called Jesus Through Middle Eastern Eyes, which actually goes through the Christmas story and kind of breaks it down from a cultural perspective of what maybe that night would have looked like, and understanding the inn and how formality worked back then, because if they were going back to the town of Bethlehem, there would have been plenty of family to welcome them home, like to welcome them there, because the women would have been taking care of Mary during the birth. That is, I mean, she wouldn't have been doing it on her own, and Joseph wouldn't have been doing it with her. It would have been the women of the family doing it. So the idea that the way that houses were made, or homes back then, were that were they more, I would say, not extravagant, but a larger home in the area would have had a sort of a stable, or where they kept the animals closer to attached to their home. So if it were during that time of the year where all of them had to be in town, there would have been no room maybe in like a bedroom or a living room area, but they could have used that attached part of their home where Mary would have placed the baby, like, I don't know, in a manger.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah. So
Is
it was...
that like a garage for your animals?
Yeah,
almost?
yeah.
Like
I guess it would be. Yeah,
attached garage.
It's a really interesting book. It really opened my eyes to an idea of seeing Jesus and that type of, how he would have lived culturally. Not like we see the religion part of it, but there's also the cultural part of it. So
right. Well, I grew up in a Christian home. I went to a Christian school, and my children do as well. And it brought back those memories because my littlest is in 2nd grade, and she was drawing the same pictures we would draw at Christmas time of, it's like, draw me the picture of the Christmas story. And you got your 2 walls, you got your sloped roof, star on top, mom and dad leaning over the manger where the animals are eating, the animals kind of hanging out by the side, maybe an angel up in the corner, something like that. But it always, like, this is continually, and I mean, for years I've said, well, this is not the actual Christmas story, but this is what still goes along. So, is it important, do you think, Jeremy, that, because it seems like one of those things where, you start telling people about Jesus and they want to know.
I do think it's important. I think that part of the problem with the Christmas story is how much, I think it is important. But I think we've romanticized it so much, and that is the bigger issue, is that, it's become, obviously Jesus, God Emmanuel coming to earth, is a pretty big deal, but the actual celebration of him coming has become such a big deal, especially with the Christmas season, that there's so much of it that we just keep romanticizing it. That's the songs, that's the, all that stuff. And like I said, I think it's important, and it's a big deal. I'm not saying, and I have reasons why, but we won't get into it because it's too nerdy and people won't care. I find it fascinating that John, who spent the most time with Mary of all of anybody that we know, doesn't even mention the birth of Jesus in his gospel, which is fascinating, because he would have had the most accurate, like, hey, Mary's there, she could tell you exactly what happened, but he doesn't even like bring it up. Like, he starts his gospel out completely differently, and I just think that's fascinating that even for him it was like, all right, that story's kind of going around there and it's good, but we're just going to start with something different. So
yeah, and I hate to just keep bringing this up, but we're hammering your heads over and over when we talk about these things. Read your Bible, people. Like, don't take Jeremy's word for it. Don't take our word for it for sure. Don't take, what you hear at church's word for it. Go, get into the word. You have it. You could have it on your phone. You don't have to have a book. But if you actually read the story and you start saying, oh, this doesn't, you have this picture in your head of like, God with the big white beard, surfer Jesus, all these things going on. And you start reading the Bible and you're like, none of this really checks out at all. This is all, like you said, romanticized through the years that they've changed it. And
I think the problem has been that, so part of the story of Jesus, why it is so important is because there's a lot of prophecies that are fulfilled that point to him being, the Messiah.
Right.
So those are important. And so I don't think the story itself is not important, but I think what's happened is just we've taken it, and like you said at the beginning, we've just kind of lumped it all together to make it this nice, cool story we can tell. And like, but there's just so much of it that, people are like, oh yeah, the prophecies, but they don't even know what prophecies had to be fulfilled. And that's like going back to reading your Bible. Like, if you read your Bible and you understand the importance of this, then you understand why the writers felt the need to include these details. But then we take that and then we make it into this story that just flows, and it's actually not. It's pretty choppy. Not only were there probably not 3 wise men, they don't even come till probably at least Egypt a couple years later. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not there the night that he's born. But that doesn't tell as good of a story.
Well, I think you might have misunderstood when I asked, is it important as Christians to be able to know this, or is it just enough to say, hey, we believe Jesus is the Son of God and he was born? Or what do you think the importance is of people actually getting this story right? Because I feel like so many things
I think it's important that we get it right now, and maybe more so for like what Penny's doing with kids, because when you tell somebody a story and then they get old enough to actually comprehend it and read it. And like I said, you could do a quick Google search and you found 2 articles pretty quickly, I would imagine, about the misconceptions and the wrong parts. So you're taught that this is gospel, this is the way it is as a kid. And then all of a sudden you actually start getting to the point where you're questioning things. And all of a sudden from the very beginning of the story, you find out we've gotten it wrong, and it's like, well, that's kind of a big deal, And so I think that is my take is, if you're going to tell the story, like, tell it in its proper and don't leave out some of, like, for example, people are not going to like this, but it's true. So this whole census that was taken, there's no historical record that this was something that Rome did. Now, I'm not saying there was a census, and most authors will argue there probably could have been at a time, because we do censuses and those have been going on for a long time, a local regional census, especially with Herod and stuff taking over. But as far as this worldwide kind of census that it kind of makes it out to be, like, other than the biblical narrative, there's actually like really not an historical record of that. So again, I don't think that doesn't mean that this didn't happen. What I'm saying is, when you like focus on that detail and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, like you did a little research and you're like, there's not a lot of records of this going on, Yep. So I just tell people how it is. Tell them the truth, and I think that's the bigger thing is, I think we can tell kids stories, and even the details that you mentioned, like the wise men not being there, they're not being a star. Like, that's the romanticized part of it. Like, just tell them the truth. Like, yeah, those things weren't a part of the story, and your manger scene's jacked up, but that doesn't mean Jesus wasn't born. It doesn't mean that,
Merry Christmas, kids.
Yeah.
I'm still not in kids' church.
And I will say, I don't think it's this story necessarily, but I do feel like a lot of the times we, sand off some of the rough edges to make the Bible more palatable to people and like an easier story to tell. When, in reality, it's, like you said, it's messy. There's a lot going on. There's, it's very R-rated. If it were to make, an actual series about the Bible, there's a lot of stuff going on that,
and I think what Penny said with that book, there's so many cultural things that we just don't pick up on because we don't live in. So for the animals, when we think of houses because we live in houses. Like, their houses weren't. When you go to Guatemala, you'll see something very similar. The animals live with the people. Like, they're just open and floor. There's chickens just walking around your bed at night. It's very different. So, there could have been animals there. That doesn't mean Jesus was born out in some barn. He could have been born in an extra room in a house. And in their culture, because of the way they lived, they didn't have property. And if you look at the Middle East, the houses are built on top of each other. So where do you put your animals? Well, a lot of them live in the house with you. And so like that, there's just little things like that don't change the story, but just we miss because we don't understand cultural things. So,
well, I mean, and this is of course just coming from me and my background. I feel like everything was so black and white as a child. Like they would say, hey, people want to talk about a gray area, but the word is black and white. And then, you start tapping the Bible and say, this is how things are. But there's so much that's like, nuance and things like that, context in the Bible that I didn't start hearing about until I was an adult. Because, it's like, well, this is the way it is. This is the way God said it. And you're like, but I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not written in the Bible that way. But like you said, you don't know. If you're looking at it through your 2023 eyes, it's not the same as when it was written. So,
yeah.
And I mean, this story is a big...
Well, and these stories were also told, I think it's the biggest thing when we get in like Bible, these are oral traditions. So even though these were probably recorded within 30 or 40 years of the events, actually, no, that's not true, because they were probably recorded within 30 or 40 years of Jesus' death. So
60 years
so.
Or so
60 years or so after these things happen is when these things are being recorded. And the way these things are passed down is through oral traditions, going to eyewitnesses, doing that type of thing. And so I think that... And the Bible acknowledges that. I think people will be shocked by that. The Bible acknowledges at times, like Luke is going around and trying to find information out. He wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like he's going around and interviewing people and trying to get a report of what happened. And these are the stories that he's being told. That doesn't mean that's exactly how it happened, And so
it doesn't mean it didn't happen, but as it goes through, it's not,
I think that goes back to my statement of let the Bible be the Bible. Like, yeah, you want to get into Luke chapter 2 because it is fascinating. I think it's a great, but Luke, he opens his gospel by saying he's basically going around and asking people to get a report for Theophilus of, what happened. And so it's all secondhand accounts, thirdhand accounts, and he's going around and he's recording these things. And yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people, they get real... And it happens in most things in life where you dig in your heels and you get in a camp and then you decide to defend that no matter what. You don't even, at some point you lose what you're even defending. But, if people say, well, this is just, the Bible's made up, this is going on. But they're like, well, there's just as much proof of this going on as a lot of the history books that we have of these time periods and things like that. And you believe those and you believe all that stuff happened. But then the Bible has to be word for word, hour by hour. Perfect.
Yeah.
So they're saying, you know what I mean? Like people get an argument and saying, well, this isn't historically accurate because this didn't happen 100% the way this thing says it was, but we believe everything else that happened in that time. So
yeah.
Any thoughts on? Oh, sorry.
Well, and I think too, even if some of the details are a little fuzzy at times, you got to think. We do have two at least accounts of Jesus' birth. We have more about Jesus' birth, even in those short little bits, even if there's pieces of it that are kind of not always fit together nice and neatly, than just about anybody else born in history, like in that time. That wasn't something people, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the other side of it. It wasn't like this was normative that people were writing about the birth of people,
right?
And so you have some Caesars and stuff, but for the most part, not really. So, the other thing too is they're kind of putting this together, and it wasn't like this was, normal the way that all this went down and how they would even talk about it.
And so another big thing that it comes up in we'll cut that out. One of the big things that people really started when I started hearing like these kind of things about not being true, that, Jesus not born on December 25th, 0 AD. Like that's been a big deal where people go, well, BC, before Christ, and, AD, whatever that means, because most people don't know. And, those dates, reading all this stuff, it's very funny to see I'm actually, when this podcast is over and we get out of here, I'd like to, unless Jeremy can tell us, how do they come up with the BC? What, in general, like when was that, why was that ever?
So that comes later. So you got BC and AD. BC, we say for before Christ and after death. That's not actually what those words.
Well, not after, yeah. After
that's actually not what those mean at all. But that's what people say. Right. So, and here's the thing. I think that, part of that system comes in, we can't understate how big of an impact Jesus had on the world, whether you believe in him or not. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? He literally changed the Roman Empire, which ruled the world, and so there's so much of that story. And that's why I think the story is so true is regardless of how he came, and I say to people, Jesus' story should have never made it out of the first century.
Right.
Unless it was true. Because there was other stories of other people that claimed to be... He's not the first one to claim to be the Messiah. Mm-hmm. He's not the first one to claim to have... there's lots of them. But his story makes it out, and not only does it make it out, it eventually goes on to eventually change the empire, which eventually then changes the world, so to speak. So, I mean, it's a big deal that Jesus was born, that he existed. I mean, no serious scholar is going to deny the fact that Jesus actually existed. And I think that's, but now then we get into the circumstances of it, and that's where we got to kind of go through the weeds sometime and figure out, what is the Bible saying? How did we get these things and all that stuff? But no, I mean, I think it's a big deal, and I think it changed things for so many people, and so I think it is a big deal that Jesus is born, and I think it's okay that we celebrate the Christmas season because we celebrate the hope that we get in Jesus and God Emmanuel. I think I talk more about rather than sweet baby Jesus, I talk more about God Emmanuel, like God being with us, like that God came here with us. That's the bigger thing I want to focus on, is that he didn't abandon us, that God actually, so anyway.
Yeah. Penny, got any thoughts on any of this stuff? You're just wowed by the intellect of the men in the room.
Just so much happening right now.
I'm still taken back by the fact that you don't like Silent Night. I'm not going to lie. That's maybe my favorite Christmas song.
I didn't say I don't like it. I just said it was
accurate.
Not a silent night. I actually really like the song. It's a very pretty song.
There was no background noise. It could have been very silent.
That's true without the planes
Mary
and all
was
the
screaming. I know it.
I mean,
bad. That baby was probably screaming too. So
I think baby Jesus was screaming on the way.
I know baby Jesus was screaming. He was a baby.
That's the savior of the world, Penny. He was not screaming.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
I'm kidding.
If he's fully man, he's probably not thrilled to be a baby.
Yeah.
Sweet baby
it's
Jesus.
it's not a fun, being a baby has its perks, but
what perks? There's no perks of being a baby.
People just take care of you. They carry you around. They feed you. I mean,
you don't get a choice on what you eat. You poop all over yourself, and people, they
clean it up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not nothing.
I don't want somebody cleaning me up.
Well, if you pooped yourself, I bet you would.
Yeah.
Listen, this is, I mean, well, we're not going to get into
You said there were perks of being a baby. I see no perks of being a baby.
What do you think? Fully taken care of.
Fully taken care of. No bills, no nothing.
You can be a jerk and be like, I want to eat right now, and you get to eat.
And then they give you milk.
Oh.
But, I mean,
they give you formula. Have you tasted formula? It is awful.
But you know what? If all you've had is milk and formula, you've never had a taco or a steak.
And they're like, here, we're going to give you some awful formula, and then here's some peas. Here's some peas for you and some carrots.
I don't think they had a lot of Similac back here in these days either, though. So
my favorite part is all the parents that have probably not had a pea or a carrot in 6 years. Like, being like, here you go, baby, eat some peas and carrots.
Okay, all right. Well, what do you think about the Merry Xmas, Penny?
What are you talking about?
When people say, when they write out Merry Xmas instead of Merry Christmas, you got any?
It didn't bother me.
Okay.
It actually doesn't mean what people think it means.
Well, it's
actually a symbol that could mean Christ.
Yeah.
This article really does that. That's good. That's another thing that I was brought up with was that you're not taking the Christ out of Christmas. Yeah. No happy holidays, no Merry Xmas, none of that stuff, because that's the war on Christmas. But I did hear, we talked about things that we like this year. There is a song, and I believe it's called King Jesus by KB that we talked about on our pop culture episode. But there's a line in the song that says, people don't care if you keep Christ in Christmas if they can't see that there's Christ in the Christian. And I was like, wow, got you people with your, you're quick to point out people's flaws when you're,
I think
shopping
so too.
at a Target.
And they're so judgmental. I mean, all of us have taken Christ out of Christmas. I mean, we do the gifts, we do the trees, we do all the over the top things. I'm like, we're all guilty of putting ourselves before the true meaning of Christmas. I'm sorry, we just are. Well,
this has always been my thing as an adult with this and with kids and Christmas and all that we do, is that of course you should celebrate the birth of Christ and God with us. It's the most important thing that's happened to us. But if you're just doing it the one day a year, you're not doing that great anyway. So we have, a secular Christmas traditions and things like that because we try to keep that in mind all year round. And this is the time of year that we have a tree and we have lights and we have, songs and things like that. But we try to put Christ first in our life the rest of the year as well. So it's not just Christmas and Easter only deal.
I know you can't say this across the board. I would imagine most people that I know that I've seen post things or say things about taking Christ out of Christmas are not the people that even regularly attend church. You know what I'm saying? Like they're the ones that just want to get all up in arms about this. And I'm like, well, we'll see you on Sunday, right? Because if you're that upset about it, then,
And for those people, we will see you hopefully this Thursday at 7:00. Wear your ugly sweater. And
I'll be wearing my Kentucky sweatshirt.
Well, that's pretty ugly to some people.
It's ugly to me.
I'll wear my U of L sweatshirt then.
All right then.
And oh man, and then we've got services Sunday at 10 and 11:15, and a special. Is it 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Christmas Eve night.
Yep.
And then that's it, people. It's Christmas coming up, so hopefully you're all ready. Hopefully, I mean, if you're ordering Amazon, it's not coming. At this point, Walmart probably not coming either. So get out there, get those.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends. Go tell it on the Martin.
Go tell it on the Martin.
Oh,
is that I don't get it.
That's down there. I know what he's talking about. I'm going to straight ignore him. Are you high on drugs right now? That's what I want to know.
He kind of is. He has some.
I had a lot of NyQuil.
All right.
Well,
I know exactly what he's talking about. I'm just going to straight ignore him.
Okay, well, I will find out this inside joke, and you all have the best Christmas and holidays and whatever. We'll see you in 2024.
Jingity jing, the Italian Christmas donkey. La 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 la. Santa's got a little friend, his name is Dominic.